Hey, what is up, guys? So I'm going to be giving you guys the inside information as far as buying, selling, and trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards, because that is one aspect of the game. And before you guys say clean my room, because I know someone's going to mention in the comment section below, I would rather play this game than clean my room. That's how much I would rather not clean my room. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. First off, as far as selling your card. So first off, you have to know what you want to price your cards at. For example, you might have a card that's worth $5. In different areas, they might be worth $10. In different areas, that $5 card might be only worth $1 to, that locals or something like that. Depending on the amount of cards that are in that area, there's always supply and demand. You got to keep that in mind also. And there's some places that simply can't get a hold of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I was talking to some players, and apparently Dracossack was like $300 in this one area of the world because it's just really difficult to get a hold of them, and that's absolutely crazy. And I was like, well, shoot, I could just go buy them on eBay and start selling them to them. But decide on what you want to price your cards at, because that's probably one of the most important things I have to say if you're interested in selling your cards. You have to know what you want to price the cards at. Now, you can go on eBay, you can go on Trolls. There's so many different ways to value your cards. Some places might value it higher, some places might value it lower. But this is the thing you also have to factor in. Is this card going to get reprinted? How many cards do you have? Like, what's your quantity of this card? If you have, maybe, let's just, for example, if you have 50 copies of Dracossack and the September list is coming around, do you really want to hold on to 50 Dracossacks? More than likely, you probably don't want to, because that could be a card that could be, semi-limited or limited, and that will, definitely change the price. Or if the card might get banned, that can happen too. Or if a card might come back, like like for example, Glow Up Bulb. The ban list is coming around, you might be like, oh, Glow Up Bulb might come back. Let me go pick up a whole bunch of these for a lot less than they will be priced at after the ban list. So, keep that in mind also. It's always your own ideas on what cards can go up or down in price. That's always one factor in the game where, it's kind of, you can kind of say it's kind of luck, but there's also, tell signs. Like, for example, Black Luster Soldier got reprinted in Gold Series 3. And at that point, it was only worth, like, I don't know, $10. And then it shot up to, like, $30, $40 right after the ban list came out and, re-released or said that he was now legal to use. And, that definitely changed the price. And, it did get reprinted. And, Dark Magician of Chaos, that's one card where, like, this is going to be the second reprint in the Battle Pack Epic Dawn 2. And I'm like, wow, why are they reprinting this card? Maybe, I don't know. You got to weigh your options and decide for yourself, is that a card that could potentially come back into the game? Maybe you might think, oh, there's no way that card can come back. It's way too broken. Hey, that's definitely, a factor that you can use in your judgment as far as buying and selling cards also. Another thing I want to mention is vendors are always out to make a profit. That doesn't mean they're always successful. Let me give you some examples. But, any company wants to make a profit. For example, even Konami. When you purchase your booster pack for $3, $4, whatever you pay for your booster pack, it does not cost Konami $4 to make that. Then they wouldn't be making a profit. Like, every business, they have to make a profit. That's normal. You should, expect that. But another example would be, like, food. You go to, like, your grocery store. Do they pay $5 for, I don't know, that 1 gallon of Arizona iced tea? No, they probably paid, like, I don't know, 80 cents for it. I don't know. But the thing is, every company has to make a profit. That doesn't mean they always do make a profit, though. Let me give you an example. So, this was at a YCS. I went and I saw one vendor was selling skill drains for $3. And another vendor, literally 10 steps was to the right, was selling skill drains for $10. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. So I went ahead and asked that vendor that was selling skill drains for $10, what do you guys buy skill drains at? And they said, we buy them at $5. So I was like, oh, that's really simple. I went to one vendor, purchased 3 skill drains because that's all he had, and I paid $9 for 3 skill drains. I literally walked 10 steps and then sold them to the other vendor for $5 each, and that means I got $15 and I paid $9, so I got $6 profit. Now that's a very small profit. To me, that's not really even worth my time now. Well, I mean, if it's 10 steps, that's definitely worth my time, but as far as like mailing it out, $5 is very mediocre, especially if you get tracking and stuff. I don't know, another thing I wanted to mention is, cards on, let's say for example, eBay, any card store, there's always shipping. Shipping is a big factor because if you see a card and it's $5 on some website, and someone else is saying, I'll sell this card for, $6, you might be like, oh, I can buy it online for $5. Why would I do that? Your shipping cost might be more than, that extra $1. It might be $2, $3 for shipping. Also, if you're selling cards, especially if you're going free tracking, free shipping, because that's pretty popular right now to, do free shipping, regardless of if you're doing eBay, if you're selling it on your own personal card website, It's about $2 to $3. It can be more depending on where you live to get like tracking and on a bubble mailer, and you have to pay for the bubble mailer too. So don't forget to factor that in your cost, because bubble mailers, depending on where you go, they're anywhere from like I think it's the cheapest bubble mailer, I don't know, like 20 cents plus. But factor that in if you're trying to sell cards. Like you might say that this card might be worth, let's say, like $5 on eBay. The thing is, that person that's selling it for $5 has to pay, if they're doing free shipping, free tracking, that's going to cost, and it's in a bubble mailer, that's going to cost them at least $2. So you got to think about that also. Another thing that I wanted to mention was, buying cards off websites and reselling them is always something you can do. I used to go to Yu-Gi-Oh! Events all the time. This is one of my main sources of income at one point, was to go to all these Yu-Gi-Oh! Events, vend cards all the time. Every vendor, is, like I said, out there to make a profit, but sometimes they don't update their buy list. One excellent example was something like Grand Soil. That card was, I believe, about $10 at a lot of websites. Some websites were already like updating their price. They're like, okay, that card's already $50 because it's already topping. But a lot of the card websites, they're still selling at $10. You could pick them up for $10 and then move them really quick and then sell them for maybe, let's say, $25. Because if you're selling them for $50, also, maybe those players won't want to buy it off of you because they're like, oh, that's the same price anyways. So you move them really fast for $20. Sure, you're technically selling under, but you're still making a profit, and that's what really comes down to. Because right now, Grand Soil is, I think it's back down to $10 now. So those people that held on to it, maybe that they were trying to sell it for $50, they never got it, so they didn't even make a profit off of it. So sometimes selling cards for cheaper than what it's actually worth at that time can actually benefit you in the long run. Because reprints exist. There's always new decks that come out that are better than the previous decks. Another thing I want to mention, some websites do buy cards. Now, the only downside with this is sometimes you have to sit there and you have to look up every single card and then you have to price it out yourself. Like, they want you to price out their own buy list, and it takes forever. And on top of that, sometimes you get cards sent back because there's a small little scratch on it, and they're like, oh, I don't want to take it. It's got this tiny scratch. Some vendors are really, really picky about the cards. And it's not because they are picky because, it's their inventory. They're picky because some other players that they sell to are really picky. It just happens. Sometimes near mint, that term is really loosely used, and like there might be like a crease in it, and you're like, that's not really near mint. But sometimes there's edge wear, and sometimes you open a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I've done it myself, and there's already edge wear, and you're like, what the heck? Sometimes the cards get cut, and that's just simply how it happens. But those take a long time to do because you have to type out everything. And then on top of typing out everything, then you have to send it, and then you have to wait. Sometimes it takes several weeks. I've heard this one guy was like, is this card website a scammer? And I'm like, I don't think so. And then eventually he messaged me back and was like, yeah, it just took them a month. And I was like, well, that's a long time, So if you're wanting to get rid of single cards, you could technically just get rid of them by selling to, I would say, if anything, sell them to your friends. Hook up your friends with deals, or your locals. That's probably one of the best places to sell like single cards. If they allow it. Some locals, they say you can't sell cards inside, so just walk right outside the store. Just don't cause any problems. It makes it so much easier. Don't try to just do it under, literally what I mean is like under the table. Like sometimes people buy stuff under the table. Just walk outside, it'll solve all your problems. If the card shop is lame, they're like, you can't sell cards here, even though we don't even carry these single cards. You know how it is. But as far as selling like a huge collection of cards, I'm sorry, we were still talking about the singles. Okay, so as far as singles go, you could technically make more money if you sell them, individually, depending on what the card is. If you're trying to sell some common cards, like for quarters, mailing those out is minimum like 44 cents, I believe, is the cost for stamps right now. So you won't be making, you'll actually lose money. Unless you're trying to sell that quarter card for like $1 and make 50-cent profit. And you have to factor in your time. What is your time worth? Is your time worth, sending out a card just for 50 cents? Is that even worth it? And on top of that, you're definitely not going to get tracking on that because you'd actually lose more money. So, sometimes you can make more money off of selling, individual cards by just, selling them individually, because usually when you sell a collection, you're hooking them up with some sort of deal. There's very few times where you'll sell a collection and get pretty much the same price as, individually all of the cards. So keep that in mind as well, but it'll be so much easier and it'll save you so much time. So what I do recommend you to do, if you're trying to sell individual cards, like I said, I recommend hooking your friends up. If you have any friends, and they need certain cards to sell them to them. As far as a collection, I would say the easiest and fastest way is simply just to go to YouTube, hit up these bigger YouTubers. There are people that do scams, so I want to say beware of scammers. There's bigger Yu-Gi-Oh YouTubers like myself, MCole40, that buy cards you don't have to worry about, them scamming, because the only thing you have to worry about is sometimes we take like a day or two to respond, simply just because we get so many things on our inbox every day, and we have to kind of sift through it. As far as me, when I used to vend Yu-Gi-Oh cards, going to these tournaments and stuff like that, instead of me going through your binder and saying I'll give you $20 for your entire binder, there are some vendors that will like look through your binder, and let's say your binder is worth $500. Like you have that idea in your mind that your binder's worth $500. They might be like, oh, I'll give you $50 for it, and you're like, whoa, you're ripping me off. You just feel like you're like, whoa, I don't even want to talk to you. Like I understand how that feels, but as a vendor, you're out there to make a profit. Now, there are some vendors that will try to go $50 for a $500 binder. Majority of the time, it's about half. But that's generally about what happens, unless it's like a really hot card. Then sometimes they can pay more. But what I like to do, and what I've been really successful with doing, is I like to let you price out your cards. You can say, I want to get rid of my binder. I want $200 for it, and I can say, yeah, that works for me, or no, that doesn't work for me. Sorry, it's just too much. And that works a lot better. I feel like a lot of players liked me for doing this because they feel like they've gotten what they want out of it. So if you want to sell cards to me, I would suggest just name your price for what you want, and then I can say yes or no. It makes it easier, and that way you feel happy and you don't feel like you're ripped off, because as a vendor, you're out there to make profit. I mean, there are times where, like for example, one example that I lost money on, I didn't know this, but I bought a collection. I had a Harpy's Pet Dragon, and this was before the Harpies got like their cards. It was, I think, worth like $30 at the time or something like that. Someone won the Harpy's Pet Dragon. I'm like, yeah, give me $5 for it. I was like, it's a cool looking card. I don't even know what it's worth. It was shiny. I'm like, yeah, $5, whatever. It's fine. The guy probably took it and sold it for more. Hey, that's totally cool. That was me for being a vendor, lack of knowledge. That card wasn't seeing any play, and I didn't know that it was actually worth anything. So keep in mind, you can always make a profit off of vendors, because at that time I don't like bother. Like there are times where people are like, oh, you want to buy this card? Hold on, let me bust out my phone, and you're like, just know what your card is worth. It's so much quicker, and then you feel bad if you're like, okay, I want to walk away, because like I don't want to wait there for your phone if you have bad signal to like take 10 minutes when there's thousands of players in this room which I could just trade with, and it's just much faster. So one thing I do recommend you to do is, even if you're just going to some small Yu-Gi-Oh venue, know what you want to price your cards out before anything. Whether if you're buying, selling, trading, if you want to buy cards, know what you want to pay for the card, and don't ever take anyone's word for it what the card is worth. I mean, some players ask me, what is this card worth? I'll tell them what I would generally sell it at. So I always will help the players. I will never be like, oh, your Dragossack, that's worth $5. Let me give you $10 for it. There are people like that, and I hate that. I will always be upfront with you guys and let you guys know that I'm honestly out here to make a profit. And sometimes people make mistakes, like for example like that Harpy's Pet Dragon, and I'm not too salty about that. I mean, hey, I've made so much profit off of it, off this game in general, that sometimes you take losses. It's just, that's how business is. But yeah, be aware of scammers. If you want to sell a collection on YouTube, be aware of scammers. I would say try to go to trusted traders, just people that are bigger known, because usually like I said, me or MCole40, like I know him, so like he's not going to be out to scam you, but there are people that are out to scam you, so be aware of that. Another thing I want to mention, let's say that your collection you think in your mind is worth $100. If a guy goes, I'll give you $500, just send first, don't worry about it, that is more likely to be a scammer, simply because he's overpaying for the stuff, and he's like, send first, and then maybe his account was just made yesterday or something. Be aware of when their account was made, how much effort did they put in their channel. Not to say that just because someone has 1,000 uploads and a bunch of subscribers that aren't out to scam people, but it does happen. So be aware. Go to trusted traders. And also another thing, get tracking. If you're selling your entire Yu-Gi-Oh collection, pay it's like an extra, I think it's like 80 cents for USPS to get that little tracking and confirmation. Get tracking, or you can get insurance if you're going overseas. All the other good stuff. If you're selling a large quantity of cards, get the tracking. It's just so much better for both parties. But yeah, I hope this helps you guys get an idea of, if you're interested in selling cards or buying cards, gives you a better idea of what you can do, what your options are. And like I said, you can still make profit off of vendors, because you know some people, like when I just jumped into this game, when I was only a player in this game, I was like, oh no, you can't even talk to vendors. They're always going to rip you off, but you could still make a profit off them, and that's really what you can take away from this video. That's the most important thing, and also that you know, be aware of scammers, because that's important, especially with you know, YouTube. But yeah, like I said, individual cards, I do recommend you to sell it to your friends, hook your friends up with deals, but you can always sell it to vendors also. Oh, another thing I want to talk about real quick. Sometimes when the ban list rolls around, let's say for example, like there was a time when Honest went down to 1. I had Honest and I sold it to a vendor. I don't remember exactly what he was paying for it. Yeah, I don't even remember, but I remember that I got way more than Honest was going to be worth in a few weeks anyway. So remember about the ban list. Keep in mind, think about, you know, is this card going to get reprinted? You might know information about a card like, you know, for example, like, what's that card? Vampire Lord right now. That card, is it Vampire Lord? It's some secret rare. But anyways, that card is getting really hyped up right now, and you know, it's because there's going to be more support for vampires, so maybe getting secret rare vampire cards might be a good idea. But anyways, hope this helps you guys out. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Asian Eyes signing out.